How's it going, YouTube? It's Jake Reed coming back at you with the finale, the second part of the ending of this Miami Dolphins full simulation rebuild. I just want to say we made it to the playoffs. I was planning on showing you guys the full playoff process, but whenever I began to simulate, the video stopped recording at some point, stopped streaming at some point, and then when I went to YouTube, it wasn't there. So who knows where it's at, but we only went through 2 games. We beat the Patriots in the divisional round, and then we beat the Texans in the conference championship to make it to here, which is the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. We're the 15-1 Miami Dolphins versus the 10-6 Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade all my players before we go into the Super Bowl. Actually, we're not going to be going into the Super Bowl. It's going to be a very short video, guys. I hope you guys have been watching since the beginning. If you have been, leave a like on this video for the conclusion of the video. Let me know if you guys want me to continue the franchise. I would gladly go ahead and do that and continue to build it up to a point where we're at a 99 overall. I mean, we're at a 92. Our defense is a 99. Our offense is a 91. It's not going to be too hard to get much better with the tips and tricks that I've been giving you guys the whole way throughout. So this is where we're at. This is where we find ourselves. You know, if you guys want to see more, go ahead and let me know. But for now, this is going to be the end point of the franchise, because we're going to win this game, guys. Trust me, we're going to win this game against the Redskins. There's no chance that the 15-1 Miami Dolphins, who just beat the Patriots and just beat the Texans in the playoffs, lose to the Redskins. Did I say that right? The Miami Dolphins and the Redskins. I hope I said that right. Anyway, hoping that we're going to win here. I am very confident that we're going to win here. Once I go ahead and simulate this, I'm going to actually go ahead and just recap everything, let you know, where we started, where we ended up, how we got to this point, what tips and tricks I've used to get to this point. So like I said, it's going to be a very short video, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to advance now, and we're going to see what happens. We did it, guys. We're back here after the Super Bowl victory against the Redskins. We beat them, looks like 28-14. Yeah, 28-14 in the Super Bowl. Year 3, we managed to beat the Redskins in the Super Bowl. So like I said, if you follow these tips, these tricks, my advice, how I play, how I build a team, and all of them are fairly realistic. I didn't go out and lowball teams to trade for their players. I didn't do any ridiculous trades or anything. We primarily built through the offseason and the draft, and just look at our team. This is where we stand. I'm going to go ahead and go through position by position and just kind of show you guys, where we've ended up since the beginning. So as you can see, at quarterback, we just drafted Justin Herbert. This is his second year, and he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback now. He's up to an 89, and he's only 23 years old. So, if you're able to find a good quarterback in the draft who will have a decent potential, go ahead, draft them. They're going to progress just like this. And I just wanted to note one other big thing while I go through all this is that if you were to play with this team, they would actually be higher overalls, and you would have been able to win more games, and you would have been able to score more touchdowns, get more points, get more yards, and so players would have progressed more. So theoretically, if you were playing with this team, Trace McSorley could be in the 90s by now, and just keep that in mind as we go through here. So we ended up, Herbert would be in the 90s by now. So we ended up with 2 good quarterbacks here. Trace McSorley, we drafted in the same draft, but he's 25 and a 72 now. I don't know if his progression went down. He's still a star progression, but he just hasn't progressed as a backup quarterback. That's another thing that you could do. You could hone in on your backup quarterback, give him some playing time late in games when you're up, whatever, and get him XP to make him good, to make him a trade piece. But this is where we stand in terms of quarterback, a great quarterback situation. In terms of halfback, we totally moved on from the old halfback situation. We brought in TJ Yeldon in year 2 to try and help us out, and it wasn't enough to get us over the hump. So this year we decided to bring in Derrick Henry in the offseason, which was a tremendous upgrade for us, and these guys created a massive run game for this team. And Derrick Henry's up to an 89. TJ Yeldon is an 84, is a very solid backup. We'll have them around for a couple years. So a very formidable halfback squad, and a couple of decent backups here. I know Taz Worlds had some good yardage and everything as the third running back. And then in terms of fullback, we drafted Deshaun Blaylock. He didn't progress much. This is one of those positions where if you were playing with the team, the fullback progresses more because you can actually get him the ball. You can use him in different ways. Fullback is a very highly underrated position in Madden 19. Very effective to use. You can use them in the passing game, you can use them in the running game, and they're very effective. So he has good potential, but he's only up to a 77, 78 with the confidence. Could be better, but nothing to complain about. Our offense is a 91, still pretty good regardless. Now here's where we made all of our money. Chris Godwin was a guy that we ended up bringing in the first season as like a mid-70s player, and he ended up getting development traits by having good weeks. He had star potential or superstar last year and got a downgrade to quick this year. I'm not sure how exactly that works, but because he had the upgrade, he got himself up to a 94, which is phenomenal. Devontae Parker got himself up to a 92, and he had quick, and I think dropped down to normal. So I'm not sure how exactly the development trait stuff works in this game, but it seems like it does take traits away from players as they get older. We ended up with Kenny Stills having a pretty solid 3-year career for us. Stated about it, went up to about an 88 and just kind of hung there for this season and last season. I think he might have gotten an upgrade or two. Chris Conley was a guy that we just brought in as depth. We drafted Deebo Samuel, and Cordarrelle Patterson's a guy that we brought in as a major kick return, punt return threat to help us out on special teams, to help get the team over the hump from last season where we missed the playoffs by 1 game. So we brought Cordarrelle Patterson in. He's 30 now. He's not going to be a good long-term investment at this point. He's slowing down and everything, but he had 2 punt return or kick return touchdowns for us this year, so he has proven to still be productive. So that's our receiving squad. In terms of tight ends, Mike Gesicki got to right about where we wanted him to be, which was at 81. We would have liked him to be a little bit higher, but he still has potential to grow. He's only 25 years old. Still has a couple years in there where he could get a little bit better and be a middle-of-the-pack type of tight end, but he's got decent speed, decent catching stats, and was a good receiver for the young quarterback, which is exactly what you need. When you have a young quarterback, you want to have a good tight end to put in front of him as kind of like a locked-up target, somebody he can count on whenever he doesn't have anybody else open. Offensive line was a position that we needed to address heavily in this offseason because we needed to affect our running game because it hadn't been doing good the way that we would have liked it to. So we moved Jawan James over to left tackle, where he performed admirably. We brought in a couple of younger guys, Ross Lumen, Nathan Goldsberry, and then Darrell Brooks and Nate Herbig were a couple of guys that we drafted. They both have quick potential. They didn't progress quite to where we would have liked them to. That's another one. Offensive line is one where if you play the game, you're going to get more rushing yards, more passing yards than it does through a simulation. And so through that, these guys will hit their season goals and get a lot more XP. These guys would probably be in the 80s by now if I was actually playing with them. So the offensive line would actually probably be a lot better. Laramie Tunsil got up to an 81. So not bad, moving him to center. Decent player for us, pretty good up the middle. And then Forrest Lamp was a guy that we brought in, similar type of player, 82 overall. And then DeAndre Darius was a big draft pick for us, only 23 years old, still an 83 overall, with quick potential, so lots of room to develop there at the right tackle position. And then we move along to the defense. Dante Fowler was a guy that we ended up having to pick up because both Malik McDowell and Arden Key went down with long-term injuries. So we went to the trade block just to see who was available, and whoever was the owner of Dante Fowler decided they wanted him on the trade block. Now, don't get me wrong, we didn't rob the team for Dante Fowler. We gave them fair compensation. This team was so good with so much depth that we were able to offer them 3 different players at positions that they actually wanted in order to get Fowler back. That's why you see we only had 2 quarterbacks. We ended up offering them Deshaun Kaiser, who was mid-70s at that point, who was a good quarterback that they could plug in because they didn't have one. And so we offered them a couple other players, I think like a corner and another player that they could slot in. And Dante Fowler is a pretty lockdown player at the left end position. He had a lot of sacks for us. And then Charles Harris was a guy that has been with us the entire time. We stuck with him the whole way, and it paid off. He's 26 years old, and he's a 91. Absolutely phenomenal for us. Just a straight-up developmental player that ended up turning out phenomenal for us. Marquise Copeland and Devon Godchaux are another pair just like that. Copeland was the guy that we drafted in our first draft. Good potential, ended up being a 94 at only 24 years old, so he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. And then Devon Godchaux was a guy that we decided to start early on, just because he was young and had some good skills and abilities, and so now he's up to an 83 and is a perfect guy to fit into our 4-3 scheme alongside Marquise Copeland. Having that guy as an 83, only 26 years old, as your weakest link across your defensive line is definitely something to be proud of. And then in terms of linebacker, we were never able to get the linebackers to progress the way that you would like them to. And again, that is another factor of simulating and not playing the games, and directing a lot of our XP towards the secondary and defensive line, which I'm okay with. But we were able to then go out and fill some of these positions by different means. So Bud Dupree was an off-season pickup. 82, nice player, just kind of plug and play at that position. Reggie Ragland was another one that was on the trade block at one point, so we gave them a fair trade, something that helped them out, that helped us out, and we managed to get a long-term middle linebacker there for us that plays pretty well. And then at right outside linebacker, Raekwon McMillan is an 81 and only 24 years old. Hasn't quite progressed the way that you would have liked him to, but another one of those guys that's just a solid linebacker. So our linebacking core wasn't phenomenal, but as you can tell, the defense is a 99. So where does the defense come in at a 99? Well, it comes in across the defensive line and the secondary. So what you can see here is that Ahkello Witherspoon went up to a 91. This is another guy, actually he's up to now what would be a 92 plus 1 confidence at a 93. So this is another guy that's phenomenal for us. He's, quick potential, only 26 years old, just a phenomenal player for us. That was another guy that we developed the whole way through. And then a couple of the other guys we ended up trading away as they started to get older. And so we ended up picking up Tavon Young and Jalen Mills in last year's free agency. We had a lot of cap space to spend, and so I said, you know what? This is the last year of the franchise. We're aiming for a Super Bowl. Let's make that push. And we went out. We got a pair of corners to pair up with Ahkello Witherspoon that just played absolutely phenomenal for us. A pair of 86s, only 27 years old, and that's why our defense looks so good. And then on top of that, obviously, you have, and I'm slightly confused with how, I don't even remember moving Tank Hursley to safety, but I must have. He's up to an 81 as the backup safety, which is kind of interesting. I didn't realize I did that. But Minkah Fitzpatrick, obvious 99 overall. After 3 seasons, we got Minkah Fitzpatrick up to what his rookie grade was, which I'm assuming was like a low 80s, up to a 99. Just an absolute beast in the secondary. Had 4 interceptions this year. Is only 24 years old, and that's the guy that you can build your entire team around. Absolutely phenomenal player for us. And then Malik Hooker was a guy that we brought in year 1 who wasn't getting enough playing time on the team that he was on the Colts. So we ended up deciding to go and bring him in, giving them a fair offer that would help them out more than having a safety like this with this potential not play. So we brought in Malik Hooker, and he's up to a 91 to pair with Minkah Fitzpatrick, and these guys have been developmental the entire way, and they've just completely helped us out on the back end of our defense, playing phenomenal. We ended up bringing in Jake Elliott in the kicking game. Didn't have very strong seasons, but again, that's another thing that's a product of the simulation. If you were playing with a guy like this, you would be hitting field goals left and right. I mean, he's 97 kick power, 88 kick accuracy, and 74 awareness. He'd be hitting kicks all over the place. And he'd probably be better than an 86, but a very good kicker for us. Just kind of the type of guy that we need to bring in to make sure that we weren't missing an exorbitant amount of field goals like you would if you had like a low 70s guy in simulated. So we brought him in as a free agent, and he helped us out a lot. And then Matt Hack was actually a surprising player. You know, I know you don't talk a lot about the punter, but he averaged like a ridiculous like 55 yards per punt or something. Just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he has 96 kick power, so we made a good decision sticking with him throughout the process. And then we ended up with a couple of excess draft picks just by playing it smart and trading down in the other drafts. So we have first, second, third, fourth, a second fourth pick, a second fifth pick, and a second seventh pick. We definitely could have more by now, but we started with a total rebuild, like I said. If you just look at the top end of these players, they're absolutely phenomenal. And so, you know, this team is going to be around. You're going to have most of these players. I have most of these players locked up for quite a while. If I go in here to negotiate players, there's only a few that I really need to negotiate with. So, like Kenny Stills, who's 29. And then after that are like a couple, you know, not so great players. You know, Cordrea Tankersley, who we ended up moving to safety and is a backup. Laramie Tunsil's the guy we'd want to keep. And then beyond that, nobody particularly good. So, you know, that just goes to show that we have that team locked up for quite a while. And, you know, if I were to continue this franchise out, we would be up from that rating. If you see right there, right next to Gesicki, we would be up from a 92 to probably a 99 in no time, I guarantee you. Just by following the tips that I've given you guys, you know, just the foremost thing is to make sure you're doing your training at the beginning. When you get into a franchise, first thing you should do would be to go in, play your training drills, and get a gold trophy. And then you can just simulate those trainings the whole way throughout with the gold trophy and get your guys a whole bunch of extra XP. And that's the first and foremost thing. If you guys want to see the other tips, go back and check out the other videos. Follow the series through. I give you all of what you need to know to build a great team like this without having to put in a lot of effort and without having to cheese the AI. So go back and take a look at all that. I appreciate you guys sticking with me the whole way. You know, that's where our team is. We started at a 75. I say this in every video. We started at a 75, sold off the entire Miami Dolphins team, went down to a 73, and now we're back up to a 92 with a 99 overall defense and a 91 overall offense. Just straight up, you know, building from within pretty much, doing it the right way, not cheesing the AI. So yeah, that's what I do. That's how I build teams, and we're able to win a Super Bowl just by simulating in the third season. Imagine what you could do if you were playing with this team, how good you could be, how good you could build a franchise if you played, if you followed my tips. So go ahead, leave a like on the video if this franchise helped you out. You know, subscribe to the channel for more. Let me know if there's another game you want to see something similar in. I can do it in, you know, just about anything. I have just about any game you could imagine. So let me know if there's something you guys want to see. Subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm coming at you with daily videos, and I just want to thank you guys for sticking with me the whole way. So that's it for now. I'll see you guys in the next video.